Welcome to this week's update/quarterly review. I'm going to be combining these two things, but first, let's talk about the past few weeks in terms of production cycle. I missed a couple of the update videos between when I made the last video, the Valentine's Day video and the St. Patrick's Day video. And I was just dedicating time to finishing the St. Patrick's Day video. And it was a solid, hard deadline, and I thought that cutting the update would be the best course of action. I ended up making some sacrifices to that video, and I'll talk about that in the quarterly review section. But that's what occupied those 2 weeks. Then following that, I've been pretty busy working on computer coding projects, which is good. Eventually it'll come to the channel, but it's not really in a state where I have much to show for, which is sad. It's just one of those things, though. I can't just show you the command line every time, although it is cool and it does make me feel like computer hacker. I forgot 1 week, and then the other week I was just in the middle of things. But going forward, I'm going to try to dedicate some time every Wednesday to make the weekly update. So, regularly scheduled, try to get it out every week. Even if I don't have much to say, I'm going to try to be extremely consistent. Try to be. Not perfect. Let's move on to the quarterly update. I think this is something that I've attempted to do in the past, and I tried to do either on this channel or the other main channel. I'm not even sure. It's been 8 years of doing YouTube, and I don't remember where I put things. So, that's okay. I want to look back every quarter and talk about what I've put out and some of the thoughts that I've had. Give you a little bit of the background information or technical hurdles that I've been dealing with. And I wanted to say that the St. Patrick's Day video came out okay. I'd give it a C, and I'm disappointed in a small portion of it, but it's because I had trouble with that special effect where the Art of Lore cube breaks through the second wall. This was a Blender effect, and it was difficult to get right. It was 3 different things interacting together. You had the physics engine for the wall coming apart. Then I had the keyframes because I had motion on the cube. It was supposed to rotate at a constant rate and have all 4 sides just be the Art of Lore image. And then on top of that, I had a video texture on the cube. So it was actually synced to the video dialogue, where every time I'd say a new card, I was planning on rotating the cube 90 degrees and it advancing to the next image at the same time. So for a second, you'd see either the image transition or 2 of the same image on adjacent faces as the cube is rotating. And I thought that would have been more dynamic and more interesting. But it came down to a problem of not understanding how Blender would deal with those 3 systems. I baked in the physics, and I think that caused a problem with the video texture, so it wasn't rendering correctly. So the first sacrifice I did is I just took the video texture and superimposed it into the editor. It looks okay, I guess, but it doesn't have that dynamic motion every time it would change. The other compromise that I did is I baked in the physics. Oh, and I made Hinazume Hanabe a static part of the wall. It was supposed to be a card that got hit by the cube and then had its own trajectory. It wasn't going to break apart, but it was going to spin around and fly towards the audience, but that's okay. I had originally allocated 1 week for that effect, that one scene, and I ended up having to compromise the time schedule because the video was longer than I expected. I was expecting about 45 minutes, and the script ended up being edited down to 1 hour. And that was a lot of editing. It was like 2 solid hours of recording audio that got edited down to that amount. Yeah, that took a lot of effort. But beyond that, I think the video is okay. I'm going to continue working in Blender, and in retrospect, I probably should have broken it into 3 different projects. By which I mean, one project would just have the physics of the objects moving, then another would have the keyframes of the cube, and maybe the video texture also, if I could get both of those working. I was getting the cube rotating at a constant rate and the video textures working at one point, but baking in the physics, I think, broke that. So making a discrete cut, I think, would have been the solution, and then stitching together 2 clips, I don't think it would look bad, because I'd have the exact same staging. I'd just be rendering with 2 different settings, where one would be using baked-in physics and one would be using the keyframes and video texture. But that's in the past. Hindsight's 2020, and I'm always thinking about little ways that I could optimize things in the future. And the good news is, I'm planning on making more videos, so every time I get into a situation like this, I'm learning and I'm moving forward. I do think that I need to have a little bit of timeline pressure, otherwise I'll just be spending too much time and not get enough out. But at the same time, I don't quite feel like the video was up to the bar that I want to set. And the bar gets a little higher every time. I feel like there might be an audience expectation that as the channel gets older, or as I continue to produce more content, that the expectation might be rising, but that might be an internal perception. It's hard. I know a lot of content creators eventually get to a point of stagnation where they can just bank on their reputation, or I guess their established fan base, and they can just put out lower quality content, especially more commonly or more often. And it's just sad when that happens. I hope that never happens. I guess one way to prevent that is to always keep the bar rising, but that comes with its own challenges. So those were the 2 videos. I've talked about the February/Valentine's Day video in a previous update. I think it turned out better than the random chance video, but I'll get back to that later. In terms of output, I think channel 2 videos this quarter is much better than last year, that's for sure, but not great. Ideally, I'd like to come out with 1 solid video a month, or every few months with streams in between, and that's something that I'm working on returning to. Soft launching streams tomorrow, actually. So, if you're looking forward to that, I'm going to try for 5:30 EST. Regardless, I've been working with computer code a lot, and one of the things I've shown on this channel, I guess, in one of the previous updates, was 10,000 deck lists that I got from online, and these are all tournament deck lists, and I have the tournament information that they were in, and I've converted all those text or TXT to JSON files, so now they're better indexable. And I took another database, also containing like, I want to say 20,000 decks, but there were duplicates in there, so I had to deduplicate and convert that to JSON as well, and then unite the 2 archives together. So any tournament which was featured in both archive, I'd have to take the decks from one archive and the decks from the other, make direct comparison. If the same exact deck by the same duelist existed in both archives, then I'd just use the one with better metadata. If there was a discrepancy between card count, because I know that one of the archives was extremely vulnerable to name change errata, I'd go with the more complete deck list. And if the two deck lists differed in a different way, where one had some cards and the other had some other cards, I'd just include both copies for completeness. This might introduce some errors, but I think the margin's pretty low. The other thing is I had to convert everything from plain text to the card IDs, which is something that the websites really should be doing internally. I know this was the problem with the name change errata on one of the archives, is the hero super archetype got capitalization on the HERO part, and as a result, all the hero cards just disappeared from the archive, which is terrible. So a whole bunch of deck lists are really incomplete, and I couldn't figure out what was happening. So uniting it with the other one definitely helps with that specific problem. And man, I have a bone to pick with Konami, specifically Konami's naming department. They're putting all sorts of different special characters in card names, and it is ridiculous. Did you know that there's 3 different hyphens? There's a hyphen, there's an M dash, and there's an N dash, and they're 3 different Unicode characters? They're putting Greek letters in some of the names of the cards, like Huonger, Alpha, and Fiendish Indigen Omega. Those have Greek letters in them. How do you index those? They're putting little stars on the evil and the live twin, and it's 2 different stars. It's like a white star and a black star. They're putting angle brackets. They're putting 2 different kinds of parentheses, although this might have been the input method that the archivers were doing. So I had to engineer fuzzy select and then convert everything to the card IDs, and that should make for a more robust system in the future. It is less human readable, but I also have the human readable version, so it's still preserved. I have both. And overall, I think I have a pretty decent foundation for what the metagame was from 2003 to 2024. One of the archives stopped updating and actually got taken down completely towards the end of 2024. The other one is way more complete, and I think that's the point where archival has been not perfect, but so thorough that it's representative of the metagame. So that's something in the future. I got the hot swap solution fixed, so it should be easier to pull up individual cards on stream. Fingers crossed. And what I'm working on now is just a way to convert these deck lists into usable data. So I want to make a metric to show how much of each archetype is featured in each deck. I have them sorted into tournaments already, and there's the tournament data in their metadata. So that's going to help with some of the cleaning of the data later. And on top of that, I'm thinking about archetypes, and I have the archetype data, but there's some weird corner cases, like Crystal Rose supports the Gem archetype, which is normal, but it also supports the Melodious archetype for lore reasons. I'm moving past that. That's not the problem. But the archive, the API on the website, it only lists the Gem as its support. So that's something I need to look into. But those are extremely rare cases. I don't know how it treats the hero super archetype, because like Stratos and Absolute Zero, they just care about hero. They don't care about elemental hero, evil hero, vision hero, masked hero, evil hero. I might have said that one again. Destiny hero. The only thing they won't care about is Oscillo hero. But that's something. So it's been a lot of technical problems, and it's been a lot of high-level cognition. High-level computation, not so much. It's a lot of comparisons, but I did use fuzzy select a lot to try to iron out the different problems. So hopefully in the near future, we'll see some of the fruits of that. But overall, I think I'm making progress, just not so visibly now.